65 million years ago, an asteroid the size of Mount Everest put an end to the dinosaurs' 165 million year long reign. 50,000 years ago, a meteor, only about 50 meters wide, impacted modern day Arizona, yielding the same amount of energy as 9 of the most powerful nuclear warheads in the US's nuclear arsenal. It's more commonly known as Meteor Crater. And just about 114 years ago, a meteor exploded over the Siberian taiga, flattening an estimated 80 million trees spread out over 830 square miles. For reference, the valley is only about 260 square miles or thereabouts. There's something of a pattern here, a pattern that astronomer Carl Sagan took note of. He remarked, since in the long run, every planetary civilization will be endangered from impacts from space, every surviving civilization is obliged to become spacefaring, not necessarily because of exploratory or romantic zeal, but for the most practical reason imaginable, staying alive. If our long term survival is at stake, we have a basic responsibility to our species to venture to other worlds. The future of humanity has always been in the stars. For centuries, we have gazed at the night sky and pondered as to what can be up there. It is a fact that our position on Earth is a bit precarious. Although it may take a very long time for humanity to outgrow our home or be forced out by a mysterious cosmic force, that day will inevitably arrive. It is for this reason that NASA should receive more funding, as it is a key step in exploring and understanding the universe around us. With increased resources and funding, NASA would be able to launch more expeditions and missions into space that would, at the very least, expand our knowledge of the cosmos, or at least our solar system. They could also innovate new solutions for space travel that would lead to new inventions for everyone on Earth to enjoy in the present. And they would actually help us become better stewards and care for the Earth, as much of our knowledge of Earth comes from NASA. NASA's budget for fiscal year 2021 was $22.2 billion. While that may sound like a lot, it only accounts for 0.3% of the total amount spent by the government in 2021. With more funding, NASA can embark on numerous missions or launch new experiments entirely, some of which are badly needed. These funds could lead to a new mission to Saturn that would build on Cassini's work. Cassini was decommissioned about 5 years ago, I'll say. And it'll primarily focus on the possibility of there being a vast ocean on one of Saturn's moons, Enceladus. We could also figure out a way to clear some of the debris that is in space due to decades of rocket and satellite parts simply being abandoned into Earth's orbit. Most excitingly of all, we could return to the moon and finally land a person on Mars. There's also the potential for exploring asteroids and discovering what new elements or metals could be hidden inside. Space exploration and innovation often go hand in hand. With more funding, NASA would be engaging in more space missions and conducting new endeavors and experiments. Thus, new technological innovations could become more frequent. Memory foam, for example, was developed by NASA in the 70s to make its airline seats more comfortable for their pilots. Home insulation was developed from an aluminized polyester that is used today in most home insulations. Wireless headsets were also developed for astronauts to be able to work without any wires getting in the way. And where would social media be without the humble camera phone, also a development from NASA? While humanity still has a lot to clean up here on Earth, investing more money into NASA and science in general could help with this endeavor. NASA can monitor almost every aspect of the Earth's health, their vitals, so to speak. Can monitor global temperature, ice coverage, forest coverage, atmospheric conditions, and knowing all these things is vital in keeping the Earth, healthy, so to speak, and be the stewards of Earth. Oftentimes, when we picture the future, we imagine flying cars zipping in between towering skyscrapers, or droids assisting us in completing mundane tasks, holograms, clothes that adjust to your size, hoverboards, you know, the future. But one aspect that dominates the future by far is space. It remains the final frontier, and while we've only mapped out about 20% of the Earth's oceans, probably because most of it looks like this, I'm just kidding. We've only cataloged an estimated 0.084% of the stars in our galaxy. That accounts for roughly 84 million stars, but seeing as how there might be up to 100 billion stars just in our galaxy, have a ways to go. Star Wars may have been a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but we're still a ways away from being able to travel throughout the Orion Arm, let alone the entire galaxy. And while it may seem daunting and fruitless to even bother exploring a frontier as vast and expansive as space, we must start somewhere. And, at some point, somebody had to lay the first block of the Pyramid of Giza. At some point, humans had to start sailing across the oceans. And I think President John F. Kennedy summed it up best when he proclaimed, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. To infinity and beyond." Thank you.